So when I woke up in the middle of the night, I was wondering what I could talk about next. I was covered in a strange reddish substance and I couldn't figure out if it was vomit due to last night's bender or blood. That's when it hit me. I'll start a new cate-GORE-y horror. Why not start with one of the classics that's ready for a remake? So here it is. The first interaction I had with anything Frankenstein was the 1985 film by Frank Roddam, The Bride, starring, of all people, Sting, Jennifer Beals, and the legend, Clancy Brown. There's nothing like watching Jennifer Beals on the screen to excite a young man's imagination about the classics. It was gothic and modern, and it dove into the psychology of the madman that believed himself to be a god. This November, the other legend and quintessential storyteller Guillermo del Toro of Pan's Labyrinth is giving Mary Shelleys masterpiece a go. Will it live up to the creator's great work, or just be another forgotten cautionary tale like San Francisco or Detroit? Let's find out. The original Frankenstein was released in 1931 on a $262,000 budget and made $12 million. It was based on the 1818 masterpiece by Mary Shelley that delved into subjects such as science fiction, morality, and horror. It predated the original vampire story Vampire by a year, and even beat out Bram Stoker's gothic horror novel Dracula, which was released in 1897. Since 1931, adaptations included The Bride, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and parodies such as Mel Brooks' classic comedy Young Frankenstein. It's always been a cautionary tale about life, death, and the perils of man's fight against mortality. At the heart of the story is Victor Frankenstein, whose name was coincidentally switched in the original film for his brother Henry due to a decision by the studios, since the name Victor was deemed too severe for American audiences. The story explores several moral themes, primarily focusing on the consequences of unchecked ambition, the ethical boundaries of science, and the responsibilities of creators toward their creations. And because he was a narcissist, he created him some life, but then tried to kill it since it was essentially a cross between Rocky Dennis and Gavin Newsom. This act of neglect and rejection highlights the moral failings of evading responsibility for one's actions. The creature is kind of innocent, but they lock him up in a damn dungeon. I mean, wouldn't you get pissed off too? I get it. Some parents are assholes, but this is some serious mommy dearest level stuff. The story also critiques the hubris of playing God, as Victor's attempt to transcend natural limits through science leads to tragic consequences for himself and others. As a smarter man than I once said, just because you can do a thing doesn't mean you should create a 7-foot psycho killer. Ultimately, Frankenstein warns against the dangers of ambition without moral restraints, the dehumanization and profound impact of failing to nurture and accept those we bring into existence. We can see these themes working their way into other modern movies, such as Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park, where Newman feels creating giant flesh-eating monsters is a good idea for a kid's theme park. Guillermo is a master at storytelling and has delved deep into the psyche of the monster mythos throughout his career, with such films as Hellboy, The Shape of Water, and Pan's Labyrinth. In an age of renaissance in scientific discovery, it's necessary now more than ever for us to explore the unintended consequences of our progress. A few years ago, a scientist had the genius idea of swapping a live guy's head with a dead guy's body. This guy's name was Sergio Canavero, believing the procedure could be viable without taking into account what kind of ramifications it would have on the quote surviving unquote recipient of the new body. Could attaching a man's head to a corpse cause a psychological paradox brought about by a physical and mental rejection of another man's body? I don't think the doctor really thought it through past the wow, I think it's kind of cool that we could do this thing idea. The would-be recipient ultimately chose against being a Frankenstein guinea pig, which kind of pissed off the doctor. I mean, I guess everyone needs a little head sometime. The film stars Oscar Isaac as a lead, Victor Frankenstein, but you wouldn't know it by reading the featured lineup since Mia Goth gets top billing as Elizabeth, but whatever. Jacob Elordi is the monster, which by the way is also sidelined by Mia, and stars Christoph Waltz as Harlander Caesar and Bern Gorman as Fritz. I hope he doesn't choose the abnormal brain in this one. It's set to release in November 2025 on Netflix, and so far looks like it showcases a dazzling visual and dark proto-scientific atmosphere set in the Age of Enlightenment, which is characterized by an emphasis on reason, individualism, and scientific inquiry that challenges the traditional authority and dogma of the preceding era. It kind of looks like it's delving deeper into the mind of Victor and how he flirts with immortality harder than a dateless high school cheerleader with a varsity quarterback days before prom. I, for one, am waiting for the release with bated breath and invite you to give it a chance. Horror has always been one of my favorite genres due to the psychology behind its themes, and I'm currently writing a psychological thriller about La Llorona. Look for it coming soon. Let me know if you're excited for it, if you think the cast is as perfect as I do. What other Frankenstein films have you loved over the years? And as always, keep watching movies.